So we are now on step 2 of our print book publishing process, and this is the print book inside. This is the inside content for your book. When you hit the save and continue button on the previous page, on the details step, this is where you end up. Now you can always go back to that details step and make changes if you need to, upload a new manuscript and that sort of thing. But for now, here we are. We had an ebook that we published, and then this is our conversion to print. And we get a lot of options on this page, so we're going to go through these bit by bit, and I think you're going to be pretty excited by the way this works. The first thing we're going to take a look at is this sort of main preview window. And this is the result of converting our ebook manuscript to a print manuscript. So the first thing we should do is come here and just sort of go through this and make sure that the conversion looks pretty much like we expect it to. Now we have a little corner decoration is already chosen. This is transferred over from the ebook, so that's handy. And we're going to get a chance to tinker with this as we go. We've got down here, unlike on the ebook side, where all of our template options are over here on this right-hand column, on print, by necessity, we had to sort of re-swizzle this, and we moved all the template options down below, and we'll get to those in a second. But this is the template option we chose for our ebook, and it carried over to print. Now, and so did our settings on drop caps and that sort of thing. So, just kind of run through this a little, make sure things look the way you want. You definitely want to go page by page, actually. You want to, eventually, the goal here is to go through every single page to make sure there's nothing out of place that needs to be fixed. That will prevent a lot of headaches for you in the future. But that's how you do that. And you can skip ahead quite a bit. You can also download a PDF preview of your book. And if we click that guy, depending on the browser you use and how downloads work for you, you might see something like this. So I just got that. Look how quick that was. It's because we already have this generated. This is basically built on that, that preview. But if you open that, now you can go through, and it's a little different format, but this is probably closer to what you would... This is essentially like if you wanted to send this file to a printer, this is the file you'd send. It's laid out with all the margins in place and the page numbers and everything that you need in exactly where it needs to be, including you've got your headers on each page, page numbers on each page. And you can take a look here, and this may or may not be a little faster and easier for you to review the contents of the book, but it's good to have that option. And also, depending on the system you're using, mine opened in a browser tab, but it may open in some application on your desktop. Adobe Acrobat is a popular tool for looking at PDFs, as is Apple's Preview app. So you can also download a file so that you can use it elsewhere or just keep it as a backup or whatever you like. Now, back on the print book inside page, we've downloaded our preview. Now let's go down here and let's take a look at some of our options. So just like on ebooks, we have some template styles. Let's take a look. So apply one of Draft to Digital style templates for beautiful chapter and scene break decorations. And they are beautiful. Look at that. That's gorgeous. But if you come over here, let's say that we want our, we've decided we want our print book to have a slightly different vibe from our ebook. Let's start by looking at what would it look like if we went with the standard D2D block for nonfiction. So that's pretty clean. I mean, that's pretty much what you would expect. Nothing fancy. Now, what it does do when you select one of the D2D traditional classic styles, it disables drop caps, phrase caps, decorations. That stuff is no longer available. So if you hover over this, text decorations cannot be used with classic D2D styles. Scene decorations cannot be used with classic D2D styles. So that is if you want just something clean and functional, So now if you click on another option, like this is the textbook option, and if we go up here, I can see we get some stuff back. I mean, it looks a little different. We get the drop cap option again. Now we can come down here and we can change these options. So drop cap is this guy, and if we hover over this now, we get a different message. Beginning of chapter decoration applies your chosen decoration to the first line in a chapter only. And here, beginning of scene decoration applies your chosen decoration after a scene break indicated by 3 dots or other ornaments. So now let's take a look. The drop cap, it is like a 2-character space sort of thing, and usually it's the first character. In this case, it's like the first couple, and that's the way that's going to look. But if you come down here to phrase cap, and now you can see it changed slightly. So it's not the big giant bold number, but the entire phrase has been all capped, and so that's the way that would start. If you come down here, you can do the same thing. You can make these changes. If you had a different scene, which we don't really have, it might treat some of it like a scene. Let's see. A scene break? I don't think so. Not in this one. So we don't have that option because it's not included in this format of manuscript, but we could see that elsewhere. So I'm going to change that back. And you can decide you want no decoration at all. So just plain Jane, no drop cap, no phrase cap. Click on no decoration and it will refresh, and it is just plain. It's like if you used one of the D2D templates. I like to have a little bit of something going. I want to have a little. I could go back to the corner decoration, but let's choose deco. Now we have a little Art Deco ornament up there. We can come back over here and say I want the drop caps back, and there we go. It's kind of nice. Now, moving on, let's take a look at the inside details. This is where you are actually having an effect on the physical qualities of the book. So here, our first option is paper color. Then we can choose our trim size. This is handy. It gives you a little page count. We have 104 pages in this book. And header text location. So right now we're saying top of all but first page, chapter, or none. So those are our 2 options. Page number location, we have top or bottom, and we've chosen top. Chapter page number location, we've chosen bottom. We've got lots of little options here. Now for paper color, we're currently set to cream. For fiction and stories where you want to keep people reading, go with cream for an easy on the eyes experience. White paper lends legitimacy to nonfiction reading with tablets and diagrams. So we can choose. Now we have, this book is actually nonfiction. So I'm going to choose white as our page color, our paper color rather. And down here we can choose our trim size. Now we read these on the previous page, but the gist is that the sort of standard recognizable trim size, the recommended trim size, 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches. But we give you lots of options. So you can go by straight 5 by 8, 6 by 9, all the way down to 8.5 by 11. That's a very large book. So 5.25 by 8 is a popular size as well. So we're just going to stick with, I think we're going to go ahead and stick by the 5.5 by 8.5. It just makes it cleaner. Actually, let's change this though. Let's change this to 6 by 9 because I want to show you something. Keep an eye on this page count. Our page count just went down to 92 because we changed the trim size. So this is something you may want to keep in mind because there is actually a minimum number of pages that you can have in a book. I'm not recalling at the moment what it is. I think it's like 30 pages. But here we see we've got 16 or 92 in the 6x9 trim size. If we took this all the way down to 5x8, we can actually increase our page count to 120. So that's something you may want to keep in mind. And it does sort of, there is a psychology for readers to want a thicker book sometimes, or a thinner book, depending on the topic. Now, if your goal is you want to make this seem more accessible and readable in a sort of quick afternoon, get the information right away, you might go ahead and choose a larger print size just to get the page count down. That's just a tip. So it just depends on the psychology of the reader you're trying to reach. Now let's scroll on down here, and we've got some additional options which are kind of cool. And I haven't seen this sort of thing in just any of the formatters. So to me, this is a fairly unique draft to digital option. But start all chapters on the right side. If you click that, then every single chapter will start on the right hand side. Whereas without that on, it will just start on the next logical page. So you might have pages where the chapter 4 starts on the left hand side. So and it just depends on your preference for that. I happen to like my chapters to start on the right hand side, so I find this to be a very fun and convenient feature. Do you need to include a table of contents? For fiction, you typically do not. Although some fiction, like epic fantasy, for example, you might include a table of contents because it kind of becomes part of the story in a way. Like the reader, can look ahead and see the adventure they're about to go on. But for the most part, with fiction, you don't want to include a table of contents. Now, this is nonfiction, so I'm going to go ahead and include one. And once these little dots, I call them Gallifreyan dots if you're a Doctor Who fan. But now this table of contents has appeared in our manuscript. So we can double check this to make sure everything is working the way we wish it to. And then we can move on. And hyphenate is another option. This one is important, I believe. So let's look at the description for it. Hyphens can be used to improve the word spacing in your book, but some readers find broken words distracting. I am one of those readers. So I do not like to use hyphens. But if you want to sort of improve the ragged alignment on the margins, and this can help. So now it can also it can break words in weird places sometimes. So you just have to use it with caution, I guess. But I don't like it, so I'm not going to use it. But you are free to do what you like. Now, widow control and orphan control. This sounds incredibly cruel, but the truth is, in publishing and in print layout in particular, there are what we call widows and orphans. There are a variety of definitions of what a widow and orphan can be, but so we've settled on our own definitions. So widows are we have settled on definitions that we have taken as our own. Let's put it that way. We didn't invent our own definitions. So widows are when the last lines of a paragraph appear at the top of a new page by themselves. Setting this number to 1 will allow a paragraph to be split so that the last line of text from a paragraph may appear on the next page alone, while setting this number to 5 will force a minimum of 5 lines together on the new page. So you've come to the end of a page, and the paragraph continues on the following page. Well, here we've got 2 lines. If you notice, we've got our widow control set to 2. We've got 2 lines of our paragraph continuing on this other page. Now, if you had it set to 1, now we only have the 1 line. And some people, that drives them crazy. I believe there's a design philosophy that the human eye responds best to things in odd numbers. So I like to go with 3 or 5. 3 seems more reasonable to me, but if I can get at least 3 lines. Now the problem is that leaves us with only 1 line at the bottom here. So you're going to have to just decide what you can live with. I think in general, even if I do like my 3s, I think in general having 2 lines is probably for the best. This is a comfortable enough experience, both bottom of the page and top of the page for readers. So it's going to be up to your personal preferences. Now, orphans refer to the opening lines of a paragraph that may be split from the ending lines when page breaks are determined. Setting this number to 1 will allow a paragraph to be split so that the first line of text from a paragraph may appear on a page alone, while setting this number to 5 will force a minimum of 5 lines together before breaking to a new page. So it is very similar to the Widow's concept, but if you change the numbers here, I don't think we're going to see much of an impact on this, but you know, it's kind of doing the same sort of thing it did with Widow Control. So I'm going to move that back, and we're going to scroll on down. We have now covered all the essentials here. So the main task for this page is you're going to want to go through every single page, make sure it looks the way you expect it to look. And when you are done and you are satisfied, scroll down here to save and continue. And we're going to do that now, but we're going to pick this up in the next video. See you there.